And I am Doug. How's everyone doing today? How are you doing, Ryan? Yes. Yeah, I know a few people there. One of the Reddit moderators, I don't know if he still is a Reddit moderator, Kitty Cat. He messaged me and said that, if he doesn't make it, that the half a stick of meat that's in the fridge, that's mine. So so I got that to look forward to, I guess. We'll see. But I'm lucky. We got nothing over here. I mean, it's like, barely below freezing and no snow or anything. It's been a pretty mild winter, all things accounted considered. Yeah, I will say this, it got colder earlier than it usually does, but it didn't really we never really got like a crazy insane cold day. I mean, we had a couple, but nothing out of the ordinary. Yes. Yes. Probably like the worst jump moves or like the worst jumps. And in my mind, I'm thinking since AEW existed. Yeah, that sounds right. And I think that, and I wanted, and I didn't really specify these parameters, but I think we understood the parameters that we're looking at just since the start of AEW. And because, obviously we're not going to be going back to like, oh, it was, what a great jump when Jericho jumped from WCW. We're not doing that. But just in that time frame, I think it's good. And then you went back and you discovered something very good, and that's that we did something very similar to this almost a year ago to the day. Yes. Okay. So this was a year ago. This is a year ago. So a year ago you had Camille, you had Andrade, and who was your third? Well, that might have been around the time that he went to, was it New Japan or was that in MLW? He had a bunch of weird situations. Oh, well, that's not good. Did it?
Did it? Okay, wait. Now it's going. Okay, for the YouTube people. So, how about from the top a little bit
Yeah,
here?
I think we should just start over. We could start over here.
Well, hi everybody, and welcome to this
Yes.
week's edition of the Wrestle Watch podcast. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Doug. And So yeah, how about that weather? No, we're not gonna do that again.
Yeah,
No.
for people that are listening to our audio version of the podcast that will be releasing after this YouTube stream, um, it seems that my audio was not going for YouTube, but it was getting recorded for Doug. Doug knew everything I was saying.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh yeah. We talked about the weather, which is the most interesting thing you could talk about in life, really.
Yes, always. It's safe. You don't. That's always kind of the go-to when you need to just fill the dead air.
Yeah, so this week's episode is going to be a bit of a throwback episode. Looking back a year ago, we had a topic similar to this, but this is one that Doug, you were trying to figure out exactly how to do this topic. If you want to pitch it off.
Yeah. So this basically came about uh, after the Ray Phoenix news, where we already kind of heard for a while now that he's like the one person who's not allowed back to AEW. He wouldn't be welcome back, and obviously he's made this jump and to WWE, and a lot of people are saying, "Well, he's probably regretting this move because he killed a lot of his leverage and he's not really getting pushed." So, to my mind, I wanted to kind of go back and look at some of the people who maybe really regret the jumps that they made.
Yeah.
And I think we also were trying to, be positive as well. So we're also talking about the people who made the best jumps.
Yeah.
And a year ago we did this where we were just looking at the past year, but today we're going to look since the beginning of AEW. So from
Yeah.
2019, all the jumps that happened at that time, because that became the era of jumps. That's where this whole podcast wouldn't exist without AEW, because jumps weren't really a big thing before that. I mean, yeah, you had people coming from like New Japan and stuff like that, but it wasn't like, like a wrestle war like how we have right now or how we had in the 90s where people are jumping back and forth. So I think today we wanted to go ahead. We have about 6 years of time to kind of look back and forth at the people who made the jump. So we're going to look
Yeah.
at the best and worst.
Yeah, so and for the purpose of this episode, for people that have been watching us and following along with us for a few years now, thank you all for your patronage, of course. You might remember about a year ago we did an episode similar to this, but it's different. Thank you very much. Okay, this one's different. Last year it was looking specifically at 2024 and saying all the people that jumped in 2024 who made the best and worst choices of where they ended up, who went up, who went down. This one's looking at, for the entire time that AEW has been around, who has made the best and worst choices of going from AEW to WWE or from WWE to AEW. It's very narrow, although it's also broader for the time.
Well, and I also think I remember a little bit of this show, and I remember at the time I was struggling because there would be situations where I'm like, well, that kind of carried into part of 2023. It's like, did I count that one? So they had these weird cutoff situations. So we're not going to have that problem here because we're just basically looking at the entire time frame.
Yeah, so just as a reminder then, just for fun, these were the three names that I listed as the 2024 worst jumps. Okay? My three were Andrade going to WWE, Camille going to AEW, and Matt Riddle going to a lot of places. You had quite the year in 2024. But I want to also read off your three okay, worst ones for 2024. You felt that Jade Cargill made the worst decision by going to WWE at the time. Mustafa Ali, he was just running around the indies at the time. And Baron Corbin running around the indies.
So I think that I'd be accurate on all those, with the exception of Jade Cargill. However, I do think it's worth noting that she did get noted as the, was it most overrated or overpushed or in the WAN Awards this year. So it's not
that was Jey Uso.
Okay, she was I think she was like number 2 or number 3 underneath it. She didn't win it, but she was under it. Like I think so. In my mind, yes, she's doing better now in terms of her push. So I think I will take an L on that one, but I still don't know that if we're talking about where they were in AEW versus where they are now in WWE or vice versa, she's probably around the same level, I would say.
Um, I don't know about that just because she's had a continued focus on WWE. She has had, I mean, I would say that in AEW she never really had a feud per se. Like, what was her big feud? Who was her big rival in AEW in her entire time?
Yeah, she didn't have a feud, but I would argue that she was pushed as strong
Well,
and presented as well.
yeah, but she's been women's champion in WWE for the past, I don't know, like 6 months or something like that.
Well, how long was she the TBS champion?
Like as long as Mercedes was.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say that she was treated at least as good.
Yeah, so I don't know if I would say it's a top five worst ever then.
It's not, and
For
I said I took the L on that, but I'm saying I don't think she necessarily is doing much better.
Yeah. So how about we start our list with a lovely one that was actually a little bit weird to put on here because it's Jake Hager.
Yeah. All right. So Jake Hager. So once again, we're talking about the worst jumps
Yeah.
that we have seen since the beginning of AEW. And Jake Hager is an interesting one because he's probably one of the first jumps from this time period.
Oh yeah, yeah. He debuted on the first episode of Dynamite, which of course is not the beginning of AEW. But I mean, for a lot of people, they'll think it is.
Yeah.
But it's not
one of the first. I mean, it's not like
he was the surprise that they booked because they couldn't get AJ Styles and the Good Brothers.
Yeah.
And what did he really do from there? Well, he didn't wrestle for months. And then he didn't ever get a title reign or anything. He was just always Jericho's buddy for the entire time that he was in AEW, right? Like he didn't really do anything other than that, right?
No. So his run in AEW was I like my hat. Hurricane Rana in the UFC match. And then you could maybe no, that's it. Hurricane Rana in the UFC match and
I like my hat. I
like
this
my
hat.
Yeah. I like this hat. That's the extent because he doesn't have anything memorable. He didn't wrestle. I don't think he wrestled his first match until like Revolution 2020. So that would have been like
it was
5 months after like his debut.
It was Revolution 2020 was his first match, and then he was also, as TC in the chat is reminding, he was Mox's first title defense as world champion.
Okay, was this the match that was taped during COVID and the rumors were, oh, this is a great match or whatever because it was taped, so we didn't see it. But everyone was like, Tony Khan was like
hyping it up,
hyping it up and everything, and then it just like wasn't good, which was odd because usually like when something got hyped up, it usually delivered, but this one just was not it.
Yeah, well, that was the was that at no, it was pre-Daly's place. It was at the Nightmare Factory.
Was that? I thought it was Daly's place.
Well,
either way, it was empty crowd COVID. It wasn't even that was I think that was the Guns are still in the crowd type COVID.
Yeah. But yeah, so I would say that when with Jake Hager going from being a world champion in WWE
and calling Tony Khan a communist.
Yeah, that's where it went down to, you know. So I think that this is a valid pick for one of the worst decisions to make the jump. And that's kind of the angle with this is that it's about the talent's perspective. I think that there are definitely people that a promotion might regret having signed from this angle. I think a name that has been bandied about when we were discussing it with some of our staff with the WrestleWatch was the Hurt Syndicate was a name that was bandied about just because, well, I don't know, maybe AEW might regret it based off of how it's gone the past year, but like I don't think Hurt Syndicate regrets leaving WWE and going to AEW.
I was gonna mention it because you mentioned this to me earlier, and I was going to say that I think that's almost kind of a push.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's not like good, but it's not bad either. That was just a jump that happened, and
Yeah.
it's like I don't think it's bad or good for either one.
How about we go to number 4 on our list, because this one is the juicy one. Because you have to remember that we're talking about specific jumps, not just their entire era. That's
Yes.
Andrade. Andrade, not Andrade going from WWE to AEW the first time or the second time, but Andrade going from AEW to WWE. That's a bad jump.
That was not a good jump at all. No. But that's the thing. It's like he's had like one bad jump after another, because the first jump, I think I would like to just briefly go over this whole timeline here. So obviously he was in WWE after, he had a decent push in NXT, and then he went to the main roster and was there. Eventually I think he was part of the COVID cuts, if I remember correctly. And then he debuted on Dynamite in the middle of COVID, but it wasn't like no fans COVID. It was like limited fans COVID. And I remember it was a very strange debut in AEW, because he showed up with no music and just kind of walked out, which is a weird move when you didn't have any fans to really cheer. So it just felt like kind of like a floppy flop. And then obviously he started fighting people and punching Sammy and trying to get out of his deal. And then he went back to WWE. So that time going back to WWE was not great. I honestly can't even think of anything really notable that he did in that time going back. Like, can you?
He teamed with Ray Phoenix. And he was
Yeah,
speed champion. He was the speed champion.
he was the speed. Listen, I forgot about the speed champ. That was back when it was the Twitter thing.
Yeah, that was his legally required title reign.
Yeah. So that didn't work out great for him. And then eventually, you know, he had this. He got out. He got divorced, and then he got out of his deal, and he came back to AEW twice.
Yeah.
He re-debuted twice, because then he got a cease and desist, and then did it again. So it's we'll see how this little run goes in AEW. But yeah, it's very clear that initial AEW WWE jump was not a good one. And
he also had that, was it the best of 7 with Carmelo Hayes, that theoretically should have, if he had stayed in WWE, continued with him doing something with the US title, I guess. But the entire time that he was in WWE, they just kept trying to get him to do lucha stuff, like be in the lucha hole. And he was very against ever doing AAA again, because they owed him money.
Yeah. Oh, I for sure, and I'm sure that they would want him to be on the AAA on Latin American Fox right now if they could. So, and that's probably, I'm sure that's part of the reason why he left or wanted to leave in the first place.
Yeah, and I would say that his both of his re-debuts with AEW were better than his original one. With actually, if I recall correctly, that was Vicky Guerrero came out and introduced him as her new, that she would be the manager for Andrade.
That sounds right. And then I think you're right.
His first match was at Road Rager, which was the return to touring. So he had a crowd at Daly's Place for his debut, and his first match was in front of a real crowd. That was when Malachi Black debuted, that same episode, where they did the lights on, lights out, and Arn Anderson died or whatever. Can't remember. Cody died. Yeah, Cody died that time.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that arguably right now, as we sit here, I think that Andrade's third jump, AEW 2.0 for Andrade, has gone possibly. I mean, it's really early to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's probably the biggest stock upgrade that anybody's had of any jump.
I think the important thing to realize right now is that AEW is in a situation where they have a lot of people at the top of the mix.
Yeah.
and they included him in that.
Yes.
They presented him as like one of those top people in the mix, which is impressive considering that he got thrown into Don Callis' family, who already has like 4 people that I would include in that category in that faction alone.
Yeah.
So it's really impressive in that regard.
Yeah, the way that they've been able to thread the needle of like, okay, so Okada's a main eventer. Yes, true. Mm-hmm. Takeshita, he's going to be definitely a main eventer pretty soon, right? He already kind of is. So got Takeshita there. Okay, so but like they've done well of being like, oh, Don loves both of them, quote unquote, right?
Yeah.
Then you have Kyle Fletcher, where it's like, well, he's the next main eventer, but he's already main evented a pay-per-view. Don't worry about that. Don loves him too. And then they had to thread the needle of bringing Andrade in there, and it's worked perfectly. I think Andrade has fit really well on the way that they've slotted him into that faction, and it seems like he might actually win. He might beat Claudio for the CMLL belt. So,
I think it's important, and I think it's notable that Don Callis' family has avoided giving anyone like you're the ace of this faction. That has helped everyone kind of get over and not get pigeonholed. So I think that should be studied going forward, honestly, because that's really impressive the way they did that. We'll see how it continues going forward, but not having an ace in that faction has helped a lot.
Well, how about we go with somebody that never got to really be the ace of any faction when he was in AEW. He got to be a video gamer, I guess, so that's fun. It's Rusev. Of course, when he was in AEW as Miro, of course, the story here is that he went from WWE to AEW after he got released. He has a nice time in AEW. Honestly, if you look at it just like as like what he achieved.
He resigned.
He resigned in AEW even. Yes, he had a 5-year extension or something of that absurdity level. Because he had probably, I would say, hot take, possibly, or maybe a lukewarm one, we'll find out. I think that he had one of possibly the top 3 best TNT title reigns in AEW history.
It was a lot of fun. His promos were great. Or not promos, but his pre-tapes.
Yeah.
His little vignettes. They were fantastic. He might, honestly, if I had to sit there and think about it, if you had to, gun to my head, who's the best vignette in the history of AEW? It might be those Miro ones.
Yeah. And then after he loses the TNT title, which seemed to be like a very, good storytelling thing, they lined it up where he was trying to kind of cheat God a little bit by like trying to get the record for the most defenses of the title. And he couldn't do it that last time. It's too much. He lost the belt. Well, they didn't know what else to do with him. Or rather, he didn't want to lose. Was more so what happened. They had plenty of ideas for things to do with him. They wanted him in one of those world title eliminator tournaments. He was going to be in the finals against Hangman, and Hangman was going to win. And he was like, I don't want to lose Hangman.
Yeah.
So they didn't book him for it. I think Danielson lost to Hangman instead in that tournament, if I remember correctly. So like they wanted to slot him very high, right?
Yeah.
And you look at it, how they did with Andrade when Andrade was like same time frame. Think about that. Same time frame. Andrade goes into C2, right? The initial Continental Classic. Andrade plays ball, right? He's like, okay, so what you're going to do? You're going to give me 3 wins out of 5 wins. One of them's going to be against Danielson. I'm okay losing the other matches and not going on to the semifinals.
Yeah. He had a great tournament, too.
He had a great tournament, right? He got pushed very hard. What does he do for Miro then at World's End? He loses to Miro because he's on out, right? Mm-hmm. That was Miro's last match in AEW. Because then from there, he refused to lose anymore.
And now then eventually his contract was up, and then he went on his merry way back to WWE, where he's on main event.
Yeah.
And he is losing. Oh, actually, I shouldn't say that. He's not losing that much, but he's not really doing anything.
He's not doing anything. It's like, okay, I think that the good comparison is somebody that you had mentioned possibly as an honorable mention is Aleister Black, Malachi Black, right?
Yes.
Um, he was positioned fairly well when he was in AEW, right? He was the leader of the faction. He was trios champion a few times. He was being positioned in a feud with Copeland for the TNT title that probably would have ended up with him winning the TNT title if Copeland hadn't gotten injured. Um, he did good business on the way out for everybody that he was involved with. Then he goes to WWE and he doesn't really do a lot, but he's having feuds. You know, he's working with Randy Orton right now, in fact, for a feud. So it's kind of like, you know, he's not getting featured heavily, but he's still getting featured with stories.
And it's also a thing where he was in that trio, so he kind of could protect himself a little bit by never being the one taking falls if they and when they did lose. But that was, I mean, that was also very similar to Miro Rusev in the sense that he refused to do business,
Yeah.
apparently, allegedly. He denied it, but I mean, we could see the TV. We see what's going on for the most part, and that he was mostly working in those trios matches. On top of that, there was always this confusion about whether or not he was hurt or not hurt, or whether he could do stuff. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think that still kind of carries over now because he is doing obviously more singles work in WWE, but there's not like he's doing anything different than he was doing in AEW, like physically.
I don't know. I think that there's might be a case of wow, he suddenly got better. Interesting. I think that people over exaggerated his that he was um what's the word that the kids use?
Washed.
Washed. I don't think he was washed in AEW. I just think that people just stopped caring for him.
I'll say this. I don't think there was any match of his in AEW that really made people nothing that memorable for any good reason.
Um,
I mean,
I'm
not
not
saying he
gonna sit
never
and
had
think about it, but
yeah,
I
he never
think
had. I'm not saying he didn't have a good match at any point, but it's like he didn't have like a cornerstone match. It's like this is like if you're looking at some of the best stuff he's done in AEW, there's not really a generally like agreed upon list of these are the great matches that everyone kind of talks about or even remembers.
yeah.
He's had a few good ones, but not a ton. And right now in his WWE run back, I haven't heard anyone really going crazy about any matches that he's had yet. So was he sandbagging a bit in AEW? Well, I mean, as I said, it's like there was a lot of speculation that he was not willing to do business in the same way Miro and Rusev were. And I'll be honest, probably a lot of the people we're talking about today, that might be a situation where a little bit of that is going on.
Well, how about we transition to one that I think really this is the one that you wanted to talk about the most, which was Rey Fenix. He's our number 2 on our list.
Yeah. So he's the one, obviously, that everyone talks about right now because there was this rumor a couple months ago that there's only one person that Tony Khan would not allow back in AEW, out of, for not counting like, like the people who are like, criminals and things like that, or, but so, and that was Rey Fenix. So, and I guess I can understand that. I mean, it's understandable. When he left, he basically accused AEW of, I don't even know what the word was. It wasn't like war crimes, but like something where he was
inhumane treatment.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, human rights violations essentially here, treating him not like a human. And then he like tweets out his little straitjacket photo, just to kind of hammer home that even further. So at that point, he eventually leaves, and him and Penta both go to WWE. And now in WWE, Penta's positioned fine. He's getting.
Well, let's like remind our listeners of why that might be the case. And the reason is
because he's got a yeet.
Well, it's also because he was there first.
He was there first.
So Penta debuts first. Originally, there was a, I guess AEW was keeping Rey Fenix's contract a little bit longer because of injuries. as part of his inhumane treatment. And so Penta debuts at, I believe, the first Netflix Raw, or might have been the second Netflix Raw last year. He has a yeet. He has a yeet, as the kids say. He has
Yep.
a zero miedo. Over with the kids, and by that I mean over with people that watched AEW and knew what that means, because sometimes the crowd doesn't pay attention. But he's over with that, right? He's being used. I mean, he's being used. He's not hasn't had much use of like a push per se, but Penta gets used. Ray Phoenix then comes in. They're like, crap, what do we do with him? Put him on SmackDown. What? But Penta's on Raw. Put him on SmackDown. Okay. What does he do on SmackDown? He loses. That's what he does. That's his thing. Is he just
Unless he's on
loses
main event, then he might win.
and goes to the main event, and then he teamed with Andrade in a tag team because they forgot, I guess, that he had his brother who he was in a tag team with famously also on the roster. So they put together the two guys that they didn't have anything else to do with, because Andrade didn't want to do AAA matches. And Ray Phoenix, I guess, didn't either. I don't know. But he's not doing much of anything, and now it seems like that there's woodwork that he's regretting his choice to leave AEW.
Penta, I believe, is also tagging with Dragon Lee as well. So it's like I don't think that, or at least
Well,
he
yeah,
was.
it's like part of like a they're not quite in LWO, but they team up with Rey Mysterio thing.
Yeah, well thought out for sure. So yeah, so basically from this, we're saying that Ray Phoenix is one that probably regrets his move or gets his jump. For the record, though, he does have a yeet. Though he does the animo where he puts his hands up, but nobody ever caught that. Like even when he did it in AEW, the fans would still just chant Zero Miedo. So it's like it didn't work. It was similar to when Danielson would try to do the, you try to get you're gonna get your effing head kicked in chant.
Yeah.
You get that started. I think I saw it actually work like twice in AEW.
I know it happened once in the UK.
Yeah, it happened once in the UK. It almost happened at the first New York Flushing Queens Grand Slam.
Grand Slam.
It was the first Grand Slam with the Kenny Omega. It almost happened in that one, and then I definitely heard it in Toronto against was it Okada?
Okada, yeah.
Yeah, and that was it. So even the AEW fans aren't smarky enough to remember that chant.
Well, it's a hard chant to do.
It is. Listen, I guess we're Americans. We need simple. We get.
If only it was in the song.
Yeah. No.
That literal thing was in it's in his intro song.
It's so obvious that they wanted that to happen so bad. They were trying and they just couldn't get it happening.
Our number one for this list.
Worst jump.
Worst. Well, yeah. Who might regret their decision to jump the most? I names out there. Who knows? Who could it be? Well, no, it's a pretty obvious one. It's I say it's pretty obvious. It's Blake Monroe. I think you had Ray Phoenix as your number one, but I mean, look, you go from being somebody who's crowned as a world champion in a stadium show to working with some people that are either sandbagging you or they're not good. Which one is it? Either way, it's not good, right?
Right. Well, and here's the thing. The reason I say Ray Phoenix, first of all, before I get into Blake Monroe, Mariah May, I give bonus points for the messiness of your exit. So Ray Phoenix was messy.
Yeah, Yeah, that's why you want a Dragon Lee on here too,
Yeah,
right?
Dragon Lee is
It's just
also
more.
messy.
It's more. It's with him. It's much more that it's a messy than it is.
Yes.
He regrets it probably.
Yeah. Well, yeah, listen, he may regret it, and then he may end up in a situation where he's really regretting it because of the messiness of it. But then at the same time, Andrade punched Sammy Guevara and he's back. So, maybe
Well,
I'm thinking too much into that.
obviously the difference between Andrade and Rey Fenix is that Andrade just did things that could be criminal, whereas Rey Fenix accused AEW of being criminal. It's totally
Yes.
different.
Yeah,
Totally different.
absolutely. So Blake Monroe, so really living up to that Tony Storm promo, unfortunately, which
Yes.
is probably going to be following her for her entire career. She's not getting away from that. I don't think they anticipated. Maybe they did. Maybe this was they were going to plant this in there, just ruin her entire career with this one promo, this one backstage taping vignette interview. But my God. Her career is not what it was literally a year ago, because it was about 1 year ago to the day that the Hollywood ending took place.
Yeah. That was
And
at the thing with the people.
it was Revolution, right?
Yes, that's the name of that
Yeah.
pay-per-view.
Yeah.
The thing with the people.
Yeah, that place with things that happen. Yeah. And that might have been the show of the year, like depending on who you talk to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it was a strong contender. Yeah, so that's probably the worst jump of it since AEW and WWE have been in this fight. Looking at the jumps back and forth, it's still early with her, I will say that, but it is probably the worst one right now. I mean, it's
like the big reason why I think that it's so bad of a jump is because
it's such a big fall.
Yeah, because like let's compare it, okay, to other people that have gone, women who have gone to NXT over the past like 2 years, right? Okay, so we have a Jordan Grace. Hasn't been great of a jump, right? It's not an AEW to WWE jump, but I don't think
consider it.
But yeah, and now she's finally doing some stuff on main roster, but she never got a run with the NXT belt. So I don't think that they were really setting her up for success there. I don't know why they didn't see anything bigger from her, but that's just the way it went. Look at Stephanie Vaquer. I think that you could say that that's one of the best jumps possibly, right? Because let's talk about like where would she be if she had taken the AEW offer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Possibly world champion by now. Possibly. But you have to think about what was going on in AEW after Forbidden Door in 2024, right? You have Tony Storm and Mariah May are holding on to the world title belt, right? And they hold on to it through Revolution 2025, and then Tony then holds it through pretty much the entire rest of the year, right? Do you think that they would have shortened Tony Storm's reign and not gone for Tony versus Mercedes at All In so that Stephanie Vaquer could have a title reign? Probably not.
No.
Right? So then let's say who would be the one that would beat Tony Storm? Could have been Stephanie instead of Stat at that point, right?
Possible.
And already in that time frame in WWE, Stephanie Vaquer was double NXT North American champion and then went to the main roster and won one of the women's belts and won that crown jewel best of the best thing, champ versus champ match, and she's going to be champ going into Mania. So I don't think that you can say that that's a negative move. I would say that's a pretty positive move.
No, she did. Yeah, there was nothing wrong with Stephanie's move.
Yeah.
I think. Well, I will say this. I do think that was a risky move on her part. Yeah, and also a little taking less money to do it. I'm never gonna be on board with that entirely. I guess it makes sense in certain situations, but I'm always gonna be in on it.
I think the worst thing about it was just that she probably burnt her bridge with CMLL.
Yes.
With how she went about it, but still, when we're talking about comparison, then the other one to compare would be Julia, which I would say would have been in this top 5 if it was an AEW to WWE move. She went to NXT. She was NXT champ, and then once she got to the main roster, they decided to essentially give her the U.S. title just to get Kiana James over.
She, I will say this. And this is, first of all, to preface, it's not good.
Yeah.
It's not good right now for Julia. I mean, I'm not going to pretend it is. However, I think we do need to realize this is a company that just takes forever to do anything with anyone.
Yeah.
For the most part. Io Sky. I mean, how long was she just kind of floundering before she finally, got some kind of push? And then that took a long time with her. But it's very possible that we're looking at Julia just becoming another Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah. And so that's why then when we have these points to compare then all this to Blake Monroe, who comes into NXT, has a weird feud with Jordan Grace where she comes in as a face but then turns heel immediately in her first feud. Then she wins the North American title, right? She loses it in a botch.
Yeah.
In an F finish, which again, there is now there are, and then she has another she has a bunch of like weird moves that have been happening to her, clips that are going around of botches that are never her fault.
No.
But she's always involved in them, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to start wondering then, why is this happening? Is it because people have a vendetta against her for some reason? Is there some kind of like sandbagging thing going on between all the people in the locker room? Because she's somebody that, well, to put it lightly, is a very ambitious person and might not be making friends backstage. Historically, that's been the case for her in locker rooms.
Yeah,
or is it that the NXT locker room is just bad? And like either way, I would say that she should be regretting her decision to be put in that environment. Either way.
Yeah, I mean, historically it could be either one because both things are pretty well documented and well known, and it wouldn't shock me that both things are happening.
Yeah. And so from there, it's like, well, she's just floundering in NXT. They're not going to call her up anytime soon, it seems. She's not going to be NXT champ for nobody. I don't understand why not. It just seems like they don't know what they're doing with her, even though it seemed at first that they did know what they were doing with her. I don't know. It just seems that like she would have been in a far better position right now if she had stayed in AEW than she has been in WWE.
Probably. I mean, and I'll say this: do I think that she is someone that was going to go much higher than she went in AEW? Is it possible the Hollywood ending was her peak, and even if she stayed, it probably wouldn't have been any higher than that? Yeah, I do actually. I think that maybe they kind of planned this out, knowing that she was kind of limited in her ability. Although I think that she was mostly fine.
I think that she's actually a good wrestler. That's my take.
I think it's fair to say she's a good wrestler. But it is also possible that she may have peaked. And we'll never know now. But we'll see. And I'll be honest again. And I said it earlier, I think that it's too early to say with her. I think she's only been, as I said, it was a year ago today to this month was when the Hollywood ending happened. So she's been in the company for less than a year. And in a company that moves very slow. So I'm willing to give them some time, benefit of the doubt. We'll have this discussion maybe again next February. So we'll see then.
So how about we chat about the best ones, the good boys? I again, we're talking about from the inception of AEW onwards. So there is a name out there that people might be thinking about, which is one Jon Moxley, of course. Yes. But Jon Moxley debuted at the first AEW show.
So does that count?
I would say no.
Okay. So we're getting that out of the way.
He is an AEW original.
Okay, getting out of that way. Jon Moxley does not count as a jump.
Yeah. He's not counting. He's an original, so Jericho doesn't count. Right?
Yep.
Anybody that was there from day one for AEW doesn't count for this. for as a potential jump. So let us start with. I can say that this one's kind of a tie of a situation that we could talk about one of two people. Because we're gonna look first at where we were last year when we talked about who were the best jumps of 2024, right? So my list of the best jumps of 2024 were Mercedes Monet,
Mhm.
MXM Collection,
Okay.
and I'm trying to find where I said my third one. I've lost it. I've lost my list. I'm This is great radio. Um oh yeah, and Gorillas of Destiny.
Okay. So these are your best jumps.
Those were my best jumps of 2024. I think we're also trying to not overlap with each other because your top 3 were Shelton Benjamin,
Okay.
Jacob Fatu,
Okay.
and Ethan Page.
Yeah. So here's the thing. We'll go through yours first real quick.
Yeah.
So the first one I think we can kind of talk about is MXM Collection.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that, well, first of all, they were released, right?
They were a release, yeah. So we can't
And
really
then
talk about them for this purpose, yeah, because
right.
that's another thing that we should point out here is that it's by choice that the
Yes.
person ended up in AEW. So that's another knock against Samoa Joe and Swerve Strickland with that one. They didn't choose. There are some people that asked for release though that we're going to include.
Yeah, that'd be fair. Yeah, if you left at your own wishes, then I think you would count, regardless of how that happens. Now, MXM, I think they're not as high in where they are right now in ROH, AEW than they were in WWE. They're doing okay though. I mean, they're going down to CMLL and things like that as well. So they're
Yeah.
bouncing around. They're getting work. So it's not like they're lower card for sure. But
Yeah, and
but
they're doing
yeah,
the AEW game stuff too and having fun,
yeah.
you know.
So
Eh,
maybe they're content,
eh,
but yeah, they're
yeah.
fine.
So I don't think that was a great choice from my part. The second one that I had there, Gorillas of Destiny. I mean, look, they're making money.
Yeah, okay. I
They
mean,
got their brothers there
we're really
too now.
scraping the barrel,
Their brothers
scraping
there
the bottom of
too.
the barrel here. When it's like, yeah, look at listen, they're getting a paycheck.
Hey,
Listen,
they're making money.
listen, Jeff Cobb's doing fantastic. Bronson Reed, what are we talking about?
They're not even in Gorillas of Destiny.
Yeah.
But you know what? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Jeff Cobb's gonna have to put the makeup on anyway.
Yep. Yep. Oh God. All right.
And then Mercedes Monet was my third. We'll give a moment for her in a moment. But let's look at your 3 was
Yeah.
Shelton Benjamin, Jacob Fatu, and Ethan Page. I think we're gonna talk about one of those 3 as well coming up
Yes.
here. So how about we first start with the number 5 pick.
Yes.
And I'm gonna say that I'm gonna make a game time decision because this is somebody that was on your list and was not on my list, but I just realized they were on my list last year. We're gonna put Mercedes as the number 5.
Okay. I think it is impossible to look at Mercedes Monet as anything other than one of the most important jumps that happened during this time period. Not necessarily on the level of CM Punk, and I don't know if you would even count CM Punk. I personally didn't count CM Punk as a jump because he was gone for 7 years. So he wasn't jumping from WWE. He came back to wrestling and went to AEW. So I don't count that as a jump. If you wanted to count AEW to WWE, that'd be a fair jump. I don't think that was.
He was released against his will.
He was released against his will, technically. Yeah. So here's a messy one. I didn't really want to touch that. I didn't want to unravel that onion because there's a lot you can go with it.
I will say though that arguably it was one of the best decisions by anybody for him to come out of retirement and to go to AEW, because if he hadn't done that, look at how much money he made, and he's back in WWE, and he apologized to Saudi Arabia. He wouldn't have done that if he hadn't gone to AEW.
Yeah, what a moment!
What a moment!
So listen, I'm not. This is the reason I really considered putting CM Punk on the list,
I
but then
thought
it's like
about
I
it
don't
too. I thought
I
about
don't want
him.
to like because I could honestly make arguments for both. This is the worst thing and the best thing, and I just didn't want to have that conversation.
I could even make an argument if we were allowing for releases against their will that CM Punk from AEW to WWE is one of the top 5 best moves. Right? Like,
Yeah,
like,
but I could also like argue the other way that it's
yeah,
like he has
it's one of the
completely
worst.
damaged
Yeah,
his entire reputation.
yeah, he's sold out essentially. Yeah,
Yeah, so
he's become the Gen X liberal punk meme.
yeah,
Um,
that I'm yeah. So for me, I just didn't want to. It was too messy. I didn't want to, and I like mess. I love mess.
Mercedes though.
Yes, Mercedes. Back to Mercedes. Genuinely one of the most important jumps of this time period between AEW and WWE, or vice versa. And the reason I say that is because she has done what I think a lot of people really kind of expected. Someone who is going to be like, really going to be one is doing it for the art.
Yeah.
You know, they're doing the belt collector thing. I think for the longest time we thought someone was going to do this. Kenny Omega kind of started to do it where he was doing the belt collector gimmick. Mercedes has done it to a degree that we have not seen since Ultimo Dragon. And it's been so phenomenal. And honestly, I didn't think she had it in her. I'm going to be honest. The idea of her like flying off to Poland in some like weird promotion that no one's ever heard of, or flying off to Spain, or and collecting just these random indie belts and just really doing it for the love of the game in a way that I thought that she would kind of see as beneath her.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of respect for her, seeing that she didn't feel that way at all, and it's helped her aura immensely.
I'm gonna throw it out there also with that is that so she lost the Rev Pro belt to Alex Windsor, you remember?
Yes.
She's announced for Rev Pro this month.
Yeah.
Mercedes is. She's going back because she's doing a tour of Europe to drop, I'm presuming, drop some of those belts that she has in Italy and Austria and Poland and wherever else she has belts. But she's going to be going to Rev Pro in addition. She doesn't need to do that. That's actually not even like that's not in Schengen zone either. So she has to get another visa for that. You know?
This is what I'm talking about. We are this. I think all of us were like when she won all these belts. We were like, well, she's never going to drop any of these things. Maybe she is.
I think she is.
Maybe she's going to drop them all.
Yeah.
And which is incredible to think about, and because she's doing it in a way where because when she lost the strong title to was it to Azumi?
Yes, Azumi pinned Mina for her to lose it.
So she lost that belt. Then she lost to Windsor, and then she lost this belt to the TBS title to Willow.
She before that it was the Red Velvet match, ROH.
Yes,
Also,
that one as well.
yeah.
And she lost every single AEW World title match that she's gone for.
Yeah.
So what we're looking at is a situation where she loses pretty, I don't want to say a ton, but she's losing a decent amount, and she's not losing anything from it. Like she is like made.
Yeah. But so the reason why I would say that she is only number 5 on this list is because you have to remember where she was beforehand. It was headlining Mania, right?
Yeah.
So on one hand, she is really improved the prestige of herself, right? But on the other hand, well, if she had just gone back to WWE, maybe she'd be headlining Mania.
Yeah. And that's honestly the same. What you're saying right there. That's one of the reasons why I didn't put Danielson on this list.
Oh yeah, he would have if he had gone back. Like let's say when he decided to retire or quasi-retire, he actually just went back to WWE. He probably would, headline a Mania.
Yeah. He did it again because remember the second time he did it, and he was just like he said that I felt nothing.
But at the same time, to mention, of course, he did headline All In.
Yeah.
So
so that's what I'm saying. I think it's about the same level. I think that's why I didn't put him on there. I think that it wasn't necessarily A great no, it was a great move for my entertainment because his matches have been phenomenal in AEW. Obviously, much more though, much probably more so than any point in his career. If I'm being completely honest, I like it more than a lot of his ROH stuff. Probably all of his ROH stuff. I'll say that. I think his AEW run was the best run of his entire career.
So how about we transition to talk about our number 4 best jump? Somebody that's voluntarily left one of these promotions to go to the other one. Number 4 is going to be a duo who also have been headline artists on a pay-per-view, not the main event, but the headline artist was FTR for a tag team to be the headliner of a pay-per-view, which I would say they were for All Out 2025 against Cope and Christian. That was
Mm-hmm.
the first match on the card, but really that was the headline match. Um, they just put I personally I get why they ordered the matches like they did, but the draw match was that match. It was not Hangman versus Kyle Fletcher.
Yeah,
But yeah, so they went from being almost turned into Flava Flav uh with their gimmick change
and
and
shaving each other's
WWE
backs.
shave each other's backs. Um can they coexist? Nonsense. They leave WWE, go to AEW where they've been I mean, look, not just in AEW, but in every partner promotion that AEW has, except for CMLL right now, for the moment. They've won the tag titles from every partner promotion that AEW's ever had.
Yeah,
Um, and that says a lot for how, like, both their prestige as an act, but also how respected they've been everywhere that they go, and how like highly regarded they are. Which also shows how lowly regarded tag wrestling is in WWE.
yeah, and they've been. I mean, they've been arguably the best tag team, if not like in the like I would say the top 2 or 3 every year since they made this jump. Just in terms of any measurement you want to go by. Uh, this year, I thought that they were the tag team of the year. You know, on the Wrestling Observer Awards, they gave it to the Young Bucks. I personally thought it was FTR. Uh, so,
I,
and that's been that way for since they made the jump during COVID.
yeah, I voted for on my ballot. I voted for Young Bucks.
Yeah, and listen, I'm not gonna ever deny that, but once again, it's one my point is that they're the top 2 or 3 every year,
Yeah,
and they are doing the best work they have been doing their entire career. Um, I think it was a no-brainer move. I think we saw that jump coming a mile away. Even before the jump actually happened, you could tell that they were just uh, counting down the months until they could finally make that jump. I
yeah,
mean, they were wearing FTR on their gear in WWE. Like they knew where they were going. They knew the plan.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I can see that as a pretty good choice there. And we have a comment from TC in the chat. For greatest tag team in AEW history, them and Bucks are 1A and 1B. Yeah, not much of an argument. And in fact,
Yeah.
I would
That's exactly.
I would say it's interesting because the way that because right now the Young Bucks and FTR are back back in each other's orbit in AEW. I think that might be a 3-way match with the Rascals at Revolution is what actually is going to happen, but we'll see. Um I think that it's interesting because when you look at the resumes of the two, it kind of does feel like FTR has a bigger resume than the Young Bucks. And in some way there is that the Young Bucks have been uh deferential
Mm-hmm.
in how they've been booked relative to FTR. Like they'll go and do other storylines. They'll do storylines without the belts. They'll do things that they don't hold up the belts for. Um, they don't get partner promotion belts like FTR does.
I
So
think that the Bucks are also just very cognizant and aware that they're EVPs, and maybe for that reason alone, they see this as more of a burden on themselves to make sure the promotion grows, and they don't want to necessarily put themselves forward. We saw that right at the start where they were losing the private party.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see that with them. Uh, but yeah, I think FTR are one of the most important jumps of this era.
Number 3 on our list is one that is going to be from AEW to WWE. Ooh, spicy. This one is somebody that I don't believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, somebody in the chat, but he hasn't appeared on main roster in WWE, and yet he's still up on our list. It's Ethan Page. Look, like, dude bet on himself, leaving. He had an offer to stay with the ROH with AEW. They weren't really using him for much, right? They never gave him a reign for the title or anything. They didn't really push him, you know. They were just kind of like, you know, you're here. You do this. You know?
Did he ever win the that that Sonic Ring ladder match?
Um
I know he's in it because he was one of the surprise people in it.
the Face of the Revolution ladder match, I think
Yeah.
that I don't believe that he ever won it, but I can double check that, and
Okay.
I'm sure that the people will also think about it.
Because I was just trying to think of like what are his actual like AEW Ring of Honor accolades, and there really wasn't much. It was just a lot of failed ideas and attempts, including that singles push with them. They tried to do the thing with the Men of the Year and the stuff with Scorpio Sky, and that's the other thing when Scorpio Sky is just like another guy where they just try so often to get something that going with him and it just never works. And Ethan Page was just another one of those. It's just like nothing was working for.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that I can remember as being super memorable with Ethan Page was just his feud with Darby Allin, where it ended in that coffin match.
Yeah.
And because they've had that match before, like in Evolve, they had it was Darby and Ethan Page, and they had a great feud. So I'm not surprised. They work really well together. But I'm happy that this is a jump that worked out for him.
Yeah.
He's kind of in that Shawn Spears role, I think, except he's actually getting a little bit more of a push than Shawn Spears ever got in NXT. So
well, yeah, and also the Face of Revolution battle match, I think that it was Scorpio Sky won once and Powerhouse Hobbs.
that sounds right.
Yeah. But yeah, and right now in NXT, both Shawn Spears and Ethan Page are there right now. Shawn Spears is like the head of a cult faction thing, whereas Ethan Page is had multiple title reigns, pushed pretty well regarded as a steady hand. He's being sent to AAA to work with Chelsea Green as the mixed. They did the mixed tag champs for a minute there. Just fun stuff, and like people like him. He's more over than he ever was in AEW right now in NXT. So if they ever move him up to main roster, I don't know if the magic will capture it as well as it did with NXT, but still, I think that even then, it's a positive move for him, relatively speaking.
Yeah, he'll be one of the other 80 people who are going to be standing in line to run the Performance Center when Shawn Michaels steps down.
Number 2 on our list is somebody who requested their release from WWE, so that's why they are okay in this. They went to AEW, and it's Toni Storm. Toni Storm's number 2.
Timeless.
Yeah, I mean, she went through 3 gimmicks and won the world title every time.
Yeah.
Right.
It's funny because it took every single time. They pushed her basically her entire time there. Let's get that out of the way. It's like they were 100% behind Toni Storm, no matter what. And every single time, I thought it was fine. I mean, she was over and it was working.
Yeah.
But this timeless Toni Storm gimmick that she's landed on now is just so next level incredible.
Yeah.
And I say that as someone who wasn't really on board with it right off the bat. I will openly admit that it took me a little while. And I think it was largely because a lot of it was just way too much shtick for me at the start, where they kept doing on the zoom in on the face, They kept doing the black and white in the middle of the match for a long time, and I thought that was too. It was a little too much for me. But then they found their balance, the healthy balance, and now she has these great matches, and the gimmick is fun. And her promos, I think that she's probably the best promo uh, in the business right now. If I, yeah, no, I think I'd go with that. I can't. I don't think I'd go with anyone else right now.
You don't like Tekla then, huh? You don't like getting
Okay,
toxic.
listen, the stuff that she was doing on Collision this week was
That
phenomenal. I'm
was
not gonna
great.
lie
That
about
was
that.
good
Yeah,
promo.
yeah.
um,
So we'll see. I mean, they might.
and then
I'm.
shows up out of nowhere. What are you doing, Stat? Are you
Yeah.
feuding with Tekla again? Or are you feuding with Thunder Rosa? Nobody understands it.
Listen, I'm ready for Tekla versus Tony Storm because the promos that they're gonna have are gonna be incredible.
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I would say that like there's not really much else to say here about Tony Storm. Like she was pretty unused in WWE and just like getting thrown aside, and now she's one of, I would say, I think that people would not argue with her being one of the top stars in AEW period and in
Mhm.
wrestling period right now.
Yeah. No, I would absolutely. She's arguably. I mean, I don't think it's. I think it's a pretty well received opinion that she's the best woman or she's the MVP of women in the world of professional wrestling and the entire industry in terms. Well, I'll take that back.
Uh-oh.
It in I'm trying to frame my world here. Within American professional wrestling, she's the MVP. I think
Ah.
that's fair to say.
Ah.
Yeah. I'm trying to
You don't want to
cut
get
that out.
you don't want to get canceled by the Josie Dean.
Yeah, I don't need the Cerise stands coming after me.
No, no, I don't. I Saya Kamatani ones.
Yeah.
So number one on our actually the Io Sky stands can be pretty brutal right now.
Yeah.
Number one on our list is actually, well, let's go through honorable mentions. Who did we not include? We didn't include Ricochet,
Right.
who I think that's a good one, right?
Yeah, no, Ricochet's very good. I didn't include him entirely yet just because I think we still need a little more time. I mean, I think he'll go up higher than he is right now, but there's a good chance he may not.
Yeah.
And then I'm not saying that that's necessarily bad. I mean, I think he's higher now in AEW than he ever was in WWE, but that I don't think that's a top 5 jump if that's the case.
And how about chat? If you guys have any thoughts about who you think the number one will be, got a few people. We have, of course, there's Andrade's most recent jump to AEW. It's pretty soon to tell on that one, but I mean, hey, he's going from being a former Speed champion to being in the world title picture.
Yeah. No, he's in the mix. He's absolutely listen. And as I said earlier, this is probably the most interesting AEW's main event scene has been ever.
Yeah.
In the sense that they have so many people who are credible top of the card contenders, and that's without Ospreay.
Yeah. Well, for now.
Yeah. Yeah. And Danielson for now.
Ever.
No. He's getting vegan stem cells.
Vegan stem cells from
Yes.
and then this one that I wanted to mention, but like it's a rare one because it's not AEW to WWE, but I just wanted to mention Frankie Kazarian somehow being like, no, I'm gonna go to TNA and then getting world title reigns out of it. Like, that's pretty good, right?
Yeah, I suppose. Would I include the Hardys in there too? Then going to TNA?
I don't know. That feels kind of lateral of what they've been doing. Like they were getting geared up to probably get an AEW tag reign until
That's true.
Jeff Hardied.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Jeff did his Jeffing.
Yes.
So number one on our list is going to be somebody that fuels our soul, I think. Oh, Mike Santana, that's an interesting pick there. And again, that's the
That's in that Frankie Kazarian mold, I would
yeah.
say for
But I
sure.
think that he definitely bet on himself and worked out. Definitely.
Mhm.
But number one, gotta be Cody Rhodes, right?
It's Cody Rhodes.
Like, how many times has he headlined WrestleMania? He had three. Yet he's really okay. So real talk.
I was gonna say Ric
He is.
Flair to be fun, but no.
Oh well, that's a good one. That's spicy. I mean, Woo
Yeah.
Energy
Woo!
used to be the match of the night. Um, but yeah, no. With Cody, he is actually headlined WrestleMania three times since he's gone to WWE. I'm talking about night two main events. His first year, 22, he had a match against Seth Rollins off the main event. Second year was 23. He had the match with Roman, main event. 24, he not only had the main event in night one, but night two also.
Yeah.
Uh, and then last year was against good old Cena, right?
hmm So here, I'm gonna let you continue talking about this real
Yeah.
quick. I just have to step out real quick.
Yeah. So Cody
Yep.
Rhodes went from talking on a ladder about what do you want to talk about because he put the Cody step out there into the universe. He said famously against Chris Jericho that if he lost the match for the AEW World Championship that he would never challenge for the AEW World Championship ever again. He goes from there and just kind of I mean, it was a confusing time for Cody and AEW. I think it's the best and most fair way of talking about it. I am a Cody apologist. I think a little bit. I like Cody. I don't think that the Codyverse existed personally. You know, I just don't think that it's as bad as people acted like the Codyverse was. Just I mean, Chris Jericho has a universe. The Bloodline has a universe. Like everybody that it's just called a storyline. You know. Um, but yeah, I mean, is he wasn't around for the IC to come around the international belt in AEW, and I think that if he had been around in AEW long enough, you know, if he had not left for WWE, he probably would have gone there. I don't think that if I was just saying that if Cody had stayed in AEW because he wasn't around for the international championship to exist, I think he probably would have won that at some point, but they would have had to do some finagling to ever get him the world title, right? So I don't know if he would ever have gotten to the heights of headlining WrestleMania, like being the headliner of WrestleMania for 3 years in a row, 4 out of 6 main events in three
Yeah,
years.
I'm back.
Like,
But here's the thing. I think you probably touched on the things I was gonna say. But yeah, he ultimately needed to turn heel and he didn't want to turn heel. Now, I don't know what that meant. Was that just him like already kind of being checked out and I want to go? And he was already planning to leave?
I think he was just screwing with the crowd because he knows.
Right.
I think he
But
was
it's like
doing. I think he was doing like a post kayfabe thing.
that's what I mean. It's like, what was he? Because that's the thing. At the time, I was like, okay, I thought he was kind of going somewhere with something. If he actually kind of had a long term plan, uh, like, but what was this? Why did he not want to just turn heel? Because that's the most logical thing. Why would he want to go against logic? Because that he would have been the biggest heel in that company. So for me, I feel like he was already done at that point, ready to leave. So I would love one day to actually get the honest opinion from him. I don't know if we're ever going to get it because I don't know how honest Cody Rhodes is because he loves lying.
Well, I think that is honest. The honest answer is just he doesn't want to turn heel. I think it's that
I don't think
simple.
that was that.
I think it's that simple.
I don't know. We'll
I think
see.
that he was like last year, as TC's pointing out, Rock wanted him to turn heel, and he was adamantly against it. You remember? Like he just
I
doesn't want to
know,
be a heel.
but I also think that okay, the Rock one. I think he got his story now. Like, would he turn heel now?
Um, I don't think so. I think that Cody has now marketed himself as a perma face.
Like he's the
He's the
heir
new
apparent
Cena.
to John Cena.
Yeah. Like you don't need to turn like it's like you don't have to have him be the main eventer necessarily, right? You don't have to have him be in the main event every pay-per-view. You don't have to have him be in the main event every WrestleMania. However, the kids love him.
Yep,
He's
they
waving
do.
around the American flag.
Listen, they're not throwing that belt back
Nope.
in WWE.
Nope, they're not. And even if people even if you have people like I remember so I went in December to the holiday tour for WWE. They had a show here in Baltimore on December 26th, and there was a kid there who his favorite wrestler was Drew McIntyre. And he didn't boo Cody. He just cheered for Drew. That's what Cody's got.
Yeah.
You know?
Listen, you know what? I think also, if we're being honest, Cody never really entirely fit with the elite, even before AEW existed. He was always the butt of the joke in the sense that he wasn't as good as them. You know, he was the 3-star general for the longest time. His New Japan run, everyone was saying like, well, who can carry Cody to a good match? Even his match with Okada, everyone booed him out of that building in Long Beach. So his reign in his title run, not going to say his title run, just his run in New Japan, he improved a lot. I mean,
you mean his run leading the Bullet Club?
yeah, the Bullet Club is fine. Now Bullet Club is mine. That was, I'll be honest, I enjoyed that entire storyline. It really was. I think Cody knew that he wasn't up to snuff after that Bola that he did. That very first battle Los Angeles, where every single match was just like a middling 3. He had a middling 3 against Chris Hero. I mean, it's pretty bad when you have a 3-star match against Chris Hero. But over time, he got better. New Japan, he got better. He figured out how to work that style. He got out of that format that he was just following from WWE, and he became a very, very well-rounded worker by the time AEW started.
Well, what I would say also is that it's been kind of referenced for WWE recently is that if you have right now you have 3 guys that if they're available, essentially they're headlining Mania if the two of the 3 are facing each other, right? You have Cody Rhodes, you have CM Punk, and you have Roman Reigns. If 2 out of the 3 of them are having a match, it is the main event.
Yes.
It doesn't matter who the third person is facing. You could, like, the only other scenario is if The Rock or really it's The Rock. I wouldn't even say Stone Cold Steve Austin. If he came out of retirement to have a match with any of those 3, the other 2 were fighting. Like, let's say it's Cody versus Roman and Punk versus Austin. Cody versus Roman is headlining. That's just the way it is.
No, you're not wrong.
And if it's Cody versus Punk, and it's Roman versus The Rock, or if it's Roman against Cody, or if it's Roman against, if it's The Rock against any of the 3, that's the one that's headlining, and that's just because it's The Rock, right?
And but that's the thing. And that's why Cody made the right move.
Yeah.
Is because you cannot get any higher than he's gotten. I mean, he's at the top of the hill in WWE.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reality where you can look at this and say he made a bad move.
Yeah.
Now, is he going to go back to AEW and finish the story?
Hopefully.
I mean,
I have a lot of stock in that.
We'll see.
Suggested topic for this week. Where is Royce Keys? Do you know his whereabouts by any chance?
I do not.
Okay, I just wanted to.
He's a little. Once again, another one that I am willing to. It's way too early to talk about Royce Keys.
Well,
people are already saying that this is a failure. Just give him a. He's 41. Yeah, give it a.
He's 41, allegedly, supposedly. I think the people all don't need to know his age, okay?
Yeah.
Why would anybody want to know somebody's um
I saw that. Did you see that tweet where people were I don't remember who tweeted out, but someone tweeted that, you know what? People need to go back and read the old Wrestling Observers. Would Dave would post their real name, their age, and then just randomly how much they bench. Like every time they mention them. That's where you
I,
gotta.
I do like how his age, like there was all this like people being rumory and weird about it because like there are people trying to do like Illuminati math based off of, well, he has a son that's this old and so he can't be more than. I'm like, guys, just like you guys are being weird. And but then all these reporters were like mentioning, oh yeah, he's totally older than you think he is. But then they wouldn't say his age. And then Wrestling Observer was just like, Powerhouse Hobbs, parentheses, Will Hobson, 41. It's just like, they just say it like that.
Yeah.
It's over. It's done. It's
Yep.
like, it's not, it's like a non-story. It always was a non-story. I mean, it's only a story as far as like, you know, he's older, relatively speaking, to the like the concept about like they're not pushing people that are young in WWE kind of a thing, but that's as far as it goes. Like it's weird to focus on it otherwise, I would say.
He's older than me, so that means I could still get in WWE if I want.
How about we look at, and how about next time that we're here on the podcast we ask this question again? It might still be relevant. How about we look at the tracker for the week? What updates we have for our WrestleWatch free agency tracker?
I think it's time.
Okay, so up in the certain tier, we have who do we got here? It's Adam Priest, Evil, and Clark Connors. Do you got any thoughts about that?
No, I think Clark Connors is getting closer and closer to where we got to take him off.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm just kind of waiting to see if they give an official graphic, or I mean, maybe if they finally say something is going to happen with Gabe Kidd too. I mean, Gabe was wearing his Death Riders gear this past week.
I think it's about time one of us like message Sean Ross Sapp and just ask him if like Adam Priest has a contract.
Oh, that's another one, yeah. Likely we have Bushi, Kieran Gray, Leon Slater, Sanada, Stephen Borden Jr., Tetsuya Naito, Hiromu Takahashi, and Rain Leverkusen. I don't think there's much updates on any of those folks this week. Although Kieran Gray and Stevie Borden, they continued to do dark matches before AEW shows.
Yeah, and good for them.
Yeah. Probable we have Danhausen, Michael Oku, Killer Kelly, David Finley, Gabe Kidd, Vert Vixen, and we have dropped him down one tier. It's Chris Jericho. Have you seen what's been going on about Chris Jericho recently?
Well, I see he's been frozen.
Yeah, they had his contract frozen when he went away to do some other things this past year for AEW.
Which I don't understand why people would drop him down for that. Just do they think it's going to take longer for him to get out?
Well, so there was also in Wrestling Observer, it was mentioned that essentially he had talked to people and they had relayed that he is worried about his outside commitments if he goes back to WWE. Doesn't say that he's going to not go to WWE, but he's concerned about that.
I'm fine with it dropping down one. I wouldn't have. I mean, I still think that he's more likely to jump than not.
Mm-hmm.
I
think it opens the door enough, you know, just because it. I mean, we don't know now how long his contract's going to be at all.
We don't. That's and more time. That's more volatility, more unknown. So we'll see.
In the toss-up category, we have the British wrestler Riho, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, Isla Dawn, and Dakota Kai. I don't think there's much else to say about these folks.
Britt Baker was on like a red carpet thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the event was.
Yeah, I just saw the clip. I was like, yeah. I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, okay. She mentioned that she stopped practicing dentistry due to overactive fans.
Weird fans. Yeah. That's
disappointing.
Well, no, she didn't stop. She didn't stop full. She stopped full time, so she's still doing it.
In possible, we have Man Like Darius, Ninja Mac, Mike Santana, Knockout Brothers Sari, LeBron Cazone, Starboy Charlie, Steve Macklin, and now AJ Styles downgraded from toss up to possible.
Uh, yeah, I would have moved him down too. I voted to move down AJ Styles a little bit too, just because it seems like it's, I don't want to say it's not likely, but it's less likely than it was before. I think I think we'll get a better idea, but I do think that Tony Khan's going to throw a lot of money at him. So let's just see if he's someone who could walk away with a lot of money.
Yeah, tomorrow is the tribute to AJ Styles Raw episode where we don't know if he's going to show up.
I mean, I'd be interesting if he shows up and signs some Legends deal there.
Yeah, and he was at the PC this past week, which doesn't necessarily mean anything. I mean, necessarily, but yeah. So that's the updates on AJ Styles. Further going down to the possible tier. Oh, excuse me, that was the possible tier. Also, there was a report that Starboy Charlie might have a offer from WWE, so we might be chatting more about that. Unlikely, we have Bailey, Priscilla Kelly, Shayna Baszler, and now moving up one tier is Anna Jay. She was previously remote. We haven't seen her since November, and her contract's supposed to be up relatively soon.
Yeah, I voted to move her up too. There's a lot of like reasons why I could see her making a jump. I think that the AEW has really just moved past her.
Hmm.
Ty Mello as well. Both of them just kind of been kind of left in the dust. And I think that she's someone who would probably benefit from a change of scenery. So yeah, I think she should jump, to be completely honest, but I think it's unlikely just because she's been with this company. I'm sure she gets paid very well. She's still dating the Jungle Man, so he's still there too. So maybe she wants to stay for that, but I could see her jumping, and I think she should, if you want my opinion.
And then down in remote, we have Saraya, The Miz, Dragon Lee, Shinsuke Nakamura, Bozilla, Mir Yamashita, the Good Brothers, and now dropping all the way from toss up to remote is Private Party. I know that you wanted to just take them off for low confidence. We haven't had an update about their contract though, but they did return to AEW programming 2 weeks ago on Wednesday Night Dynamite. They were the mystery tag team, and then last night on Collision, they had a backstage segment reintroducing themselves.
Yeah. Well, and there's the thing. The only reason I even had him on there or wanted him on there is because I didn't know what was going on. I think if they're brought him back, I'm fine keeping him at remote, but to me, I think this is a pretty strong sign that they're back because they were gone for what? How long?
Almost a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to just suddenly bring them back now if they aren't under contract, it'd be kind of surprised. So I'm fine keeping them at remote with the understanding that it's probably going to get removed soon.
Well, that is it for this week's episode of Wrestle Watch. Unless you had anything else you wanted to cover this week, Doug.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we're gonna move on, and we'll talk about we'll be on Royce Key's watch, see where he's at.
Yes, we'll put out the milk cartons for him.
Yes.
I this weekend will be going to New Japan, doing the show in Trenton. I forgot that I had bought 2 tickets. It seemed I don't remember buying 2 tickets for it, but I have 2 tickets for it. So I don't know. Maybe
What's the match that you're looking forward to the most?
Shuri versus Athena. Like,
I
don't think it's a question.
No, that's probably
No
it.
offense to any other match on that card. No offense to was it Royce Isaacs versus David Finley? I think that's on the card.
No, that's Fred Rosser versus
Fred Rosser. Excuse me, a baking powder.
I don't think Royce Isaacs is on this show.
Look, I don't know a lot of things in life.
Yeah, let me pull up the card real quick. Let's see. Here, I'm just gonna run down the card because I know obviously we got the big matches like Suji and and Andrade.
Please give it to me in order so that
Okay, yes.
I can say if the last match we're gonna do this like a higher or lower, hype or no
Okay,
hype, hyper
okay,
or no hyper.
okay.
Okay,
Fred Rosser versus David Finlay.
okay, that's match one for my hype or no hype
Yes.
versus what's the second match to compare it to?
The second match would be Tomohiro Ishii versus Oleg Boltin.
Okay, I'm more hype about Ishii versus Bolton. That's going to be a fun, choppy match. Bolton does some good
Yeah.
suplex stuff. So my number one hype match right now is Bolton versus Ishii. Let's hear what it's going up against.
Okay, it'll be going up against Taiji Ishimori versus Ricochet.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting because that'll be a fun flipping match. You know, good junior heavyweight kind of action.
Keep in mind, it's current Taiji Ishimori with current effort from him.
I'm gonna say still Ishii versus Oleg. Okay.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
All right, next we have El Desperado and Kushida versus Alec Price and Jordan Oliver.
Still gonna go with Ishii and Oleg.
If you were gonna pick that one, I would have to be like,
I'm
what's going on here?
like, okay, so here's something that I need to say is that I'm just not really into Desperado personally.
Okay,
So like it doesn't make it easier.
you're not into the young dumb and broke of Alec Price and Jordan Oliver.
I haven't seen enough of them to say anything.
Okay, no,
Yeah.
that's their goofy GCW theme. All right, El Phantasmo versus Konosuke Takeshita.
Okay, so they had a 5-star match in the G1 2 years ago.
So
That does make it intriguing. However, this is for the New Japan TV title. So it could be there is a give and take there because there will be a 20-minute time limit,
Yeah,
or
it's
it
gonna
might
be
be a
shorter.
15-minute time limit. I can't
I
remember
think it's
now.
15. I think it's 15, unless
Uh,
they changed it.
Takesha obviously has shown recently with his 2 years in the G1 and in the Continental Classic that he is able to put on classics in short time spans. This is the hardest one.
Mm-hmm.
This is the hardest one. I'm going to say ELP versus Takesha at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially because I don't know. I know Ishii's not injured, but maybe he's got to take it easy
Maybe
after Dynamite.
I mean, it's also possible that he gets replaced for the match. Haven't announced it yet.
Well, apparently he's fine, but they thought it was going to be a problem, but he's apparently okay.
I think that the fact that he took like a suplex immediately afterwards should have said like that he's probably fine, to me at least.
Yeah. Okay. Next we have Knockout Brothers versus Gates of Agony.
And nah, I'm gonna still give it to ELP versus Takeshita.
Okay.
If it was knockout, if it was a different opponent, maybe. I like GOA, but like I don't know.
Okay. Then we have Shuri and Athena.
Shuri and Athena.
Okay. And then finally Yota Tsuji and Andrade.
So the interesting thing with this one is that it's still Shuri Athena, but if it had been ELP versus Takeshita, that would have been a very interesting one to think about. Which one I would be more hyped for? I think that I would say Andrade versus Tsuji would be my number 2 match. Simply because I think that there's something interesting that they can tell there from a storytelling standpoint of Andrade was the man that brought Los Ingobernables to Japan. And so much of Yota Tsuji's story is based off of Andrade's story, right? All the Tranquilo stuff, all of his like his sojourn to Mexico, those kinds of things, like his excursion. It's like kind of Andrade is the text of that, so it's interesting to see this from that perspective, and maybe Andrade wins the match too.
I can see that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that honestly looks like a very fun card.
Yeah. Well, with that, I think we finished up for this week, right?
We did.
Oh, what would be your most hype match, by the way?
I think I'd agree with the Shuri versus Athena, but I honestly think Yota Tsuji versus Andrade could steal that show.
Yeah. As long as Yota Tsuji doesn't also come in a t-shirt. With that,
they're gonna have a hat fight. One with the Peaky Blinders hat and the other one with the fedora.
I really want to see Andrade versus MJF, and them both to wear T-shirts to start the match, and then do a competition about who's going to be the one to take the shirt off first.
You go first. Yeah,
No,
that'd be
no,
good.
no. I'm not going to. um, okay. With that, I hope everybody has a fantastic week ahead of you. And I hope you do as well, Doug. Yeah.
You as well. Stay safe in the storm, everybody.
All right. See you all later. Bye.